Hello, YouTube. Today I will be reviewing. Today I will be reviewing. Sorry, let me get it. Let me get it out here. Uh, I will be reviewing Mafia Definitive Edition. Now, this is a remake of the original Mafia that came out all the way back to the PS2 days. And this game was literally rebuilt from the ground up. So everything, so everything about the game, with a remaster is basically just like a fresh coat of paint. A remake is when you're literally starting from scratch. So the entire game is rebuilt, from the ground up, from not just the graphics, but the gameplay, the voice work, um the gameplay, the voice acting, um the graphics, the story, everything. So this game takes place in the 1930s during the Prohibition era, and the story follows a cab driver turned gangster by the name of Tommy Angelo, and we meet him literally right at the beginning of the game. And the game opens with a car chase. First of all, there are two main crime bosses in Mafia Definitive Edition. Don Sidlieri and Morello. Now Morello, now even though they're obviously both criminals, they both have very different ways about going about things. For example, there's a huge difference in the game between being a Don Sidlieri and Morello. I don't remember Morello's first name off the top of my head, so I'm just gonna call him Morello. But Morello is pretty much the biggest piece of work you could ever imagine. He's ruthless. He's ruthless. He has he's ruthless. He's a gangster. He's pretty much like, you remember, the best way that I can compare him is pretty much like Joe Pesci from Goodfellas, just not a likable person. Obviously, he's ruthless. He's ruthless. He's powerful. He's hot tempered. He's he's not a good guy. And he owns one part of the city, while Don Sidlieri owns the other. And now Don Sidlieri is a little bit more likable. He's obviously, he's still a criminal, but like Don Sidlieri, he doesn't forget who his friends are. He doesn't he will, if there's a person in need, he'll go out, if somebody has been wronged by Morello, like Tommy Angelo, for example. Like I said, the opening of the game, we meet Tommy Angelo as a cab driver, and um, Sidley main guys, Sam and Polly, um, have Tommy Angelo at gunpoint, and um, Polly's been shot, and there's a group of Morello's guys chasing, um, chasing Sidley guys. So um, your task for this mission, or for the opening of the game, is to basically is to lose is to lose the tail, is to lose Morello's guys. Um so the story moves along at a good pace. It gets right into it. It gets right into the action at the opening of the game. um and um and the so once you get away from them, um once you get away from Morello's guys, Sam, he goes to see Sidley, basically telling him what Paulie did for them. Not Paulie, I'm sorry, Tommy. Basically telling Sidley what Tommy did for them, and he gives him an envelope. He gives him an envelope, with a hunk of money in it, and basically, and Sam says to Tommy, he goes, "The Don doesn't forget who his friends are." So um he's a lot more civilized than Morello is. He's sort of like easygoing. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's still a criminal, but he has a little bit more respect. Um, he has a little bit more respect towards like people, and um, towards like his people and other people. He's polite. Um, he doesn't forget who his friends are. He's a likable, um even though he's a criminal, um he has a number of qualities that you would he has a number of like likable qualities. um and um so like I said before, the story moves along, and um the thing that gets Tommy, at first he doesn't want anything to do with Don Sidley, but um while he obviously appreciated what Sidley did for him, he just doesn't have any interest in getting involved, in getting in bed with the mafia, at least at first. So the um but what does but what the moment where he starts to reconsider is when Morello's guys come back. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, this bit. You're being chased by this part is still early in the game, but there's one part where you're being chased by Morello's guys, and um, you're running away from Morello's guys, and then you run into Sam and Paulie again, and they're outside, and he runs into um, they're outside, having a smoke, and then Sam, and then Tommy runs into Sam and Polly, and Sam basically says, um, and Sam basically says, "Hey, um, this is Sidley Aries, favorite driver. You guys, you guys get out of here." And um, you guys get you guys, get out of here. Meanwhile, Polly, Paulie goes inside and then comes back out with a shotgun pointed at him, at the two guys, and and um, so you can see that you can see that that Sidley Airy has he does have respect for people who go sort of like out of their way for him. um so the but the so they beat um there's also there's a scene in the game where Tommy's cab and Tommy himself both get beat up by Morello's guys, and so Sam and Polly take him inside to see Sidley Airy, and um they take him inside, saying, "Hey, the Don's gonna want to hear about this." And um so at that point, you see Tommy sort of like start to change his mind about getting in bed with the Mafia. um so he's like, so Tommy says to the Don, he's like, he's like, he's like, "Look, I'm not looking for for a handout. I just want payback." And so you go with Paulie, and you trash. You go to Morello's, I think, like, parking lot or whatever, and you trash and torch his cars. Um, and then you get brought back for a mission. You got you get brought back for another mission, and then at that point, um, which was sort of, I guess you could call it, like a final test. At that After that, then he becomes a gangster, and when he gets in bed with the Mafia, and um, gets get, and gets becomes a part of like the life, and stuff like that. But yeah, no, the story is incredible. 2K and Hangar 13 really know how to tell a story. I mean, damn. I mean, they are phenomenal storytellers. The story um the story is it takes place, like I said, it's set in the 1930s, but it switches back and forth between um past and present. The game, the first scene in the game is Tommy Angelo, in the present day, talking with talking with talking with I think a detective. He's either a detective or a Fed, or I don't remember off the top of my head, but and he's basically, um in the present day, he hit rock bottom. He's recounting his story to, he's recounting, how he got, um to where he is now, to the cop that he's talking to in the diner, and he's telling him, kind of like his story and how he ended up in that position. how he got in bed with the mafia and how he ended up in in the trouble that he's in the present day. Um, so the so the story, will switch back and forth between um, his days with the mafia his and then the scenes where he's recounting his story to the cop. Um, the gameplay is, like I said, this is a remake. So in terms of gameplay, it is, for those of you who have played Mafia 3, it's the same mechanics as it's the same mechanics and gunplay as Mafia 3. Um, the gunplay is basically the same. The One of the things I really love about this game are the cars. I don't know if you can see here, but you have all these like antique, because of the time period, cars are obviously really old. Um, by this time. So you have like all these like sick ass um cars in the game that are just absolutely beautiful to look at. In the game itself too. Like um like remember this is a remake, so everything was rebuilt from the ground up, and the graphics and the visuals are so beautiful to look at. Um I the game is open world, so you can pretty much, um during like your free play, you can drive around and just take in, like the scenery and the graphics, and just it's so beautiful to look at. Um Tommy Angelo himself as a character surprisingly is actually very likable for a gangster. He's a nice guy. Um, he's a nice guy. He's not the type of gangster that you would expect. Um, like if you watch, like those mafia movies and stuff like that, like Goodfellas, The Godfather, you're obviously expecting, like somebody ruthless. Tommy, I mean, don't get me wrong, like he can be ruthless when he needs to be, but it's not um but he's not um but he's not he doesn't have, like that rough like gangster um personality that most, that you would expect from somebody who's in the mafia. Like there's this one scene where you're setting a bomb, um you're setting an explosive under, I don't remember who, I think it's Morello's car. I think you're trying to kill Morello during one mission. Like I said, it's been a while since I played the game, so I don't really remember. Um, and there's I think it's like his secretary or something like that that's about to get in the car, and Tommy is like freaking out because because this innocent woman is about to get killed. And so you literally see Tommy like like running towards her screaming, trying to trying to warn her to to back away from the car. And um obviously, she doesn't, spoilers, obviously, she doesn't she doesn't make it, the car blows up. But you can see like how um Tommy, like really, like didn't want any collateral damage. Like you can see that um that this is someone who does have I like, like a certain degree of like decency um and like a certain level, like a certain, like level of a conscience, despite being, a gangster. Um, but yeah, no, the story's fantastic. It moves along at a great pace. Um, and the story moves along at a great pace. The gunplay is great. Um, in the night, in the because of the time period, you obviously have, like Tommy guns and shotguns and um, you know, different different types of pistols, and and like I said, the game is incredible. If you're a fan of first of all, um I was introduced through the series. I was introduced to the Mafia series through Mafia 2, which I originally played for the Xbox 360. Um, and then growing up, having not played the original Mafia, when I heard that they were doing a remake of the original game, I was like, oh hell yeah. I was like, oh hell yeah. I obviously got very, very excited because having never played, the original, and having been, such a big fan of Mafia 2, um, I got really, really excited, and when it was announced, and then when I played it, I was like, yeah, this game is awesome. Um, but yeah, no, if you're a fan, in terms of story, it's basically nothing you haven't already seen, from like those mafia movies, like The Godfather, um, Goodfellas, stuff like that. Um, but 2K and Hangar 13 really, really know how to tell a great friggin' story. I mean, like, you wouldn't believe, um, some of the twists and turns in this, that the story takes in this game. It's so fantastic, and it's so well written. The voice acting is really, really good. Um, the gameplay is solid. If you're a fan, if you're a gamer, and if you're a fan of like mafia, type stories and movies and stuff like that, I pick this up because this is worth playing. Anyway, so let me know in the comments whether you played it. Did you like it? And like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.